Hello, 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 YouTube. How are you guys doing today on this good old Magic Monday, Manic Monday, Motivating Monday? Made it up this morning Monday, made it halfway through your day Monday, or whatever it is you're calling this Monday. Thank you guys so much for stopping by Real Talk Therapy 101 with your girl Ebony. Here on this channel, it was created to provide a more real way to deal with our mental health, a more real way to get through those troubling times, to get through those uncharted waters, to get past those places that seem to have us stuck in life without the stigma of feeling like we're crazy for going to talk to somebody, or feeling like, we're not who we were created to be if we don't go seek and get help. A lot of times the stigma of mental health keeps us stuck in situations that we could easily begin to flow again or begin to maneuver through again in life if we just simply took the time to have a real conversation. And in order for somebody to help us through these journeys, we have to be real about what it is we're feeling. It's just like if we go to the regular doctor and you go in there and downplay the symptoms that led you to wanting to go to the doctor in the first place. If you're not going to be honest about what you're feeling, then how can you expect the doctor to be real and honest about the treatment that's needed to help you get well? So here on Real Talk Therapy 101, that's what we do, dealing with behavioral mental health, substance abuse. And again, my name is Ebony Campbell. I'm from the state of North Carolina. I am a certified alcohol and drug counselor here in the state. I am also a certified peer support specialist and a master's level qualified professional in behavioral health. I am currently in school working on my master's in social work so that I can become a licensed clinical social worker, and hence not only contract and work for other agencies, but continue to do this thing through my own agency in a more non-conventional way to help people move from one place to another. We use music on the channel. We use movies, videos, cartoons, real life situations, and just things that, I use my imagination with helping get from one place to another, because a lot of times we refuse to think outside the box because we don't know how to come out of the box. We put ourselves in boxes and put ourselves in situations that we don't know how to get out of. And so needing help and getting help and knowing what kind of help to get can be tricky with going through these things. So I want to thank you guys for stopping by and spending this time with me. Each week we kind of talk about a different topic or subject related to mental health. We talk about that get up and go. There are times where I will use personal experiences. I do not divulge or disclose any names. I just talk about situations from the way I experience them and the way I live through them. I also may refer to the use of your higher power on the channel. I respect everyone's higher power, but I also make it known that on the channel, when I'm speaking from an intervention or using an intervention from a higher or a spiritual perspective, it's usually from Christianity, because that is my religious practice. Now, a spiritual journey, a religious journey, all of those things are completely up to the individual that's taking that journey. And I respect and applaud each of you for whatever your higher power may be. And just encourage you sometimes to tap into that as a resource, tap into your higher power to help you through some of this stuff when it just seems like the day-to-day struggle of it all is way too much to handle. And so also a little bit of more background about myself. My husband and I make custom-made t-shirts. You are more than welcome to order one of the shirts you see here on the channel, or to place an order for a custom-made shirt of something of your own. And we can talk about the pricing and all that good stuff. And the website will be definitely up and running the beginning of January for you to place orders and do different things. But I like to wear a featured t-shirt if possible. There will be times where you won't see me in a custom-made shirt, but we'll still do a video. But for the most part, there's a custom-made shirt that goes along with what we're going to talk about for that day and or during that week. And for all things coach, I am addicted And so I feature a coach bag and or a coach accessory of the day, and kicks of the day, whatever shoes I might be wearing to go along with that. If you guys join me during the Thanksgiving holiday, you'll see that when I'm on, I like to say on location, on vacation, out of the little corner here in the home where I usually have these conversations with you, the attire has a tendency to be a little different, but we still have the conversation, and we'll still have a coach bag and or accessory that goes along with just my daily. And that's just something that I share a little bit about myself going through these conversations and different things. So with that introduction out of the way, try to do that on Mondays so that the rest of the week flows for us. And also on Fridays, I have been featuring a entrepreneur. It's someone that I know in different businesses, and this is to help you if you guys are providing behavioral health services in any of the areas that I'm providing this information in. Begin doing a resource book for your clients so that they can reach out and find out, how to get whatever it is that I may be featuring. Thus far, I've featured about 5 different entrepreneurs so far as I know. I've introduced you guys to a clothing brand. I've introduced you guys to a channel that helps you be more responsible with your gun play or your gun use or whatever. I don't want to say gun play. That's such a touchy subject, but to be able to handle your firearms appropriately. I have introduced you all to someone that can help you get your business up and running. Someone who, if you're on the side of the road and you need to be picked up and you need to be towed, and also someone who can help with safe, affordable housing up in the Raleigh-Durham area of North Carolina. So in order to get that information, to be able to pass it along and to create that resource book for your clients, please go back and watch and view that information and tap into that. And when you contact them, tell them Ebony sent you, that, you got the information from Real Talk Therapy. Also, we have started doing some giveaways. We gave away a coach wristlet to one of the first people from the channel to order a t-shirt. And so this week we're doing some other things, looking at who's commenting, who's sharing, who is new to subscribe, all of those different things to see who will get the giveaway for the month of December. So please continue to spread the word. If you hear something that was moving and touching to you, please share it. If you are a business owner in behavioral health, I want to encourage you, start using these things for your group. Start using them, especially if they're pertaining to substance abuse, which is my area of expertise. Anything dealing with DWI and DUIs, it's the holidays. Holla at your girl for real, so I can help you get your license back. And get you on the right track of what you need to do from there in the state of North Carolina. And if you are in other states, but you got your ticket in North Carolina, holla at your girl, because I can help you with that. So this week, we're going to be going into a conversation that has been really, really hard for me to even come up with the strategies and coping interventions to discuss with you guys. I try to go over this material and be as prepared as I can be. But for the most part here on the channel, it's just real. It's raw, it's real. I don't edit. I am learning YouTube as I go. I don't know a whole lot of stuff. And so I'm just here. But we're going to have a good conversation. We're going to talk about some stuff that would really, really help you along the journey. And as we're talking, sometimes I realize it's helping me. So I hope that happens for us this week. I'll also share with you guys, I don't remember which video it was, but it's been some time back that I have vowed to not be that person that is posting videos or putting stuff out there on the internet where I am crying. I just feel like that is, I just have my thoughts about that. And so if I get to a space during that, I simply will start over recording when I'm able. That's the first and only thing that I probably, would edit. I don't want to sit here and then lose my composure while providing conversation and strategies for you all. But I talk about it being possible because professionals need professionals. I too need somebody to talk to. And it may not be a professional. Sometimes we have to tap into our social database and our social network and see who our counselor, can be, or who our go-to person can be when we're down and out about stuff. And so with the holidays, Thanksgiving just passing, Christmas coming up, those are really hard times for people. And there are a lot of individuals who suffer with seasonal depression to where they're able to manage their lives all the way up till this particular point in life. And it gets too much for them to weigh in. It's too hard. Certain days, it doesn't have to always be the holidays. It could be birthdays. It could be, just certain times that your family got together. My family gets together every year on Labor Day weekend in September for a family reunion, simply because my great-grandfather said he was tired of the family getting together only when somebody died. So we were able to put together a yearly family reunion, and it's been going strong for the most part ever since. And so we are really, really grateful and thankful for that in my family, but not all families have that. And so this week we're going to talk about grief. We're going to talk about what grief is, what bereavement is, because those are two totally different things. How you can endure the stages of grief with a loss, whether it is the physical transition of a loved one or a pet passing away and dying, or whether it's simply a situation where you are no longer around individuals that you had been around for a good portion of your life. You can experience a loss and somebody still be living. So those things are real. Grief is real. It is a process. Just like the stages of change, there are stages to grief. And that's what we're going to talk about this week. And so our custom-made t-shirt says, Good Grief, Real Talk Therapy 101. And if you guys are familiar with the good old Peanuts gang and Charlie Brown and Snoopy and that whole crew, then Charlie Brown's, one of his main lines was to say good grief, especially when Lucy was getting on his nerves. But we're going to talk about good grief in the sense of looking at grief in a good way, because nobody has ever really talked about it from that angle. We've all been told, pray and let it go, give it to God, let go, let God, leave it alone. Oh, all wounds heal with time, and all these things that when you're dealing with your feelings of grief, when you are dealing with missing that special someone, when you're dealing with your life not being the same after you've, left this 20-year relationship, or just when you're dealing with things that you are not accustomed to dealing with, and now I got to face this stuff and I don't know how, I don't know what to do, it can be hard. It can be hard, and we're going to talk about different ways this week on how to look at grief in a good way. So when we're like, good grief, we're really saying good grief, because it's good to grieve. It's good to let those emotions flow. It's good to get that stuff off of you, because if you retain it, it can end up coming out in ways that you didn't intend for it to come out. So I'd already started talking before going on to our good coach bag of the day. Our red tote with the red wristlet on the inside is what we are carrying today. And let's go down here. We are wearing the red Vapor Max, all red. And for those of you that, have been spending some good time with me, you guys know red is one of my favorite colors. So that's where we are today. So grief. So we're talking about the unfortunate and the inevitable, the inescapable part of life. We will lose someone we love at some point in our life, most of us at many points. And the loss can hit us harder than we expect. And it can hit us in moments when we least expect it. So you could be going along just fine, thinking everything is good, having a good day, and then a song may come on the radio that reminds you of the person that you're missing, or the situation that is currently causing you grief. And if we feel really knocked off our feet or struggling for a long period of time, I want you guys to know at that point, you might need to start seeking some type of professional help to help you move on. Spiritually, a lot of times we're told let go and let God, but nobody tells you what that looks like. What does it look like to let go and let God? What does that mean? And what will it mean for me? Because it can't mean the same thing for me that it means for you. And so when we're giving unsolicited advice to people that are grieving, sometimes the best thing to do is to shut up and not say anything. Sometimes the best thing to do is to just be there for the person. You know, just know I'm here. If you pick up the phone and they're crying on the other end, just simply begin to whisper to them, it's going to be okay. You know, let it go. If spirituality and religion is a thing for you, begin to pray for that person. If praying is a part of what your spirituality is, whatever the case may be, we don't need to go straight into attack mode, which is what a lot of people do when folks are dealing with grief. And a lot of, oh, you're going to be okay. Just ask the Lord to help you. Well, okay, I'm asking the Lord to help me, but right now I just don't feel like I can be helped and or receive the help. So now what do I do? And a lot of times we don't have the answer. And it's okay to be real with people and say, look, listen, I don't know what you need to do right now, but I know you need to breathe, and I know you just need to take your time, and let's try to figure this out. Let's see if we can find somebody in the area that can help you, you know, what it is you're going through. So in this piece, we'll cover the stages of grief. I'll share with you where we're getting them from. I want to give you guys a definition of what grief looks like whenever in behavioral health, or you know, when I'm providing peer support services, or when I'm a qualified professional on a CST team, or even when I am a certified alcohol and drug counselor facilitating SACOT and or a SAOP group, or even doing DWI. We go into defining grief as a reaction to any form of loss that encompasses a range of feelings from deep sadness to anger, and the process of adapting to a significant loss can vary dramatically from one person to another, depending on his or her background, beliefs, relationship to what was lost, and other factors. And this is from Master Angelo and Wood for 2016 that gives this definition of grief. And although you may be familiar with the idea of grief as being a response to the death of a loved one, the definition given here is even broader. It's a reaction to any form of loss. You know, grief is something, or, you know, it's something that is different and it's experienced in a wide range for everybody. It's not the same for a lot of people. We could be losing the same thing and not have the same reaction to it. You know, some people may work on jobs from the time they were 18 until, you know, maybe the job closed down, and that's all the work that they know. And because the job closed down, now they're feeling that, you know, that detachment and that loss. And it could be hard to get back out here and get into the job market. I got to do a resume. I only been doing this same thing for 18 years, and now I got to go out here and learn something else. That's a form of loss. You know, you feel lost. And so grief counseling is intended to help the client grieve in a healthy manner, to understand and cope with the emotions they experience, and to ultimately find a way to move on. This information was provided to me by my clinical supervisor. Right now in the leg of school, I am in the internship phase where I am actually doing a little bit of counseling. It's not it's not that I'm doing more observing now than I am doing actually, you know, learning the process of what it looks like to be on the other end of someone that is there receiving that counseling. And so with this one, it is the Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and this is very popular. You can Google it, The 5 Stages of Grief. And I'm going to give you this model straight from the information that was given to me but I will provide examples of what it's talking about in ways that I can relate, so that in hopes that it can help you to relate. And so it says, although not much evidence has been found to support this model, it has stuck around in popular culture. And so the 5 stages are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And it says there are 4 tasks, or another popular model comes from J.W. Warden, who proposes that humans must undergo the 4 tasks of mourning in order to heal. Mourning being MOURNING, not good morning, but mourning, like dealing with the loss of something. That says to accept the reality of the loss, to work through the pain of grief, to adjust to life without the deceased, to maintain a connection to the deceased while moving on in life. And although there are a lot of different theories about grief, we normally experience some of these same things and the symptoms that come along with it. And it says these can be felt at different phases, but it's shock and disbelief. You feel numb, even denial that the loss has occurred. You know how we're like, no, not this person, not that person. I just saw this individual. I was just with them. That whole shock of, there's no way this can be happening. And then for some people who are unable to express those things, they just simply become numb. They have nothing to say. There's sadness and despair, loneliness, feeling empty, guilt, regret, shame, anger. You start feeling resentful, anxiety, helplessness, insecurity, and fear. Physical symptoms like fatigue, nausea, sickness, weight loss or gain, aches and pains, night sweats, heart palpitations, feeling faint or lightheaded, and insomnia are just a few that comes from Therapy Tribe. It's normal to experience these symptoms, but if you are experiencing them very intensely and for a long period of time after suffering a loss, you may want to look into grief counseling or grief therapy. And like I said, until I'm able to provide it and am licensed to do so, I know a lot of really cool people that I can refer you to. If you start to meet the meet the criteria for needing grief counseling. Now, in grief counseling, there is a difference between regular mental health treatment and grief, because both counselors and therapy are used to discuss between the client and the professional to help the client to address emotional, mental, and behavioral issues and solve problems. But the terms counseling and therapy are sometimes used in a slightly different way. Counseling is more often to refer to sessions focusing on assisting the client who's dealing with everyday stressors. You know, we went over those, and different ways to just cope with what you're going through. While therapy is more frequently used to describe sessions in which the client is battling more difficult, more pervasive, and more chronic things like depression, anxiety, and addiction. So grief counseling and grief therapy are basically the same thing. It's just more beneficial to seek someone that's going to do that grief counseling that will be specifically focused on how you're dealing with and processing the death of a loved one. Spiritually speaking, in the Holy Bible, it talks about dying to self. And a lot of preachers, teachers, religious leaders, or what have you, would say that means you have to die to sin, the old self, the person who was doing all these old things, and now your life has been changed, you've been baptized, you've been made new, and you're living again. And so that's more of a spiritual death. I'm not sure about any other spiritual beliefs, if that's talked about or how it's looked at. But when we start thinking about the physical transition, the loss of loved ones, and sometimes you'll end up wondering, how much longer do I have here? What's my purpose? Have I fulfilled it? We don't know the day nor the hour. I don't know anybody who's been able to predict their death except the people that have been in cults and, you know, out here that man, that Heaven's Gate man, I can't think of his name, but all them people went and bought them Nikes and dressed the same and pulled them black. They knew they were getting ready to die. Now, they thought they were going to wake up on a spaceship. I don't know. I don't know if their spirit went on a spaceship or not, but I know them bodies came out of that house over there. They was dead after they drank that stuff. So they are about the only people that I can come up with right off the cuff that predicted their death. They knew what day and time they were going to drink this stuff that caused them to die. When you had this whole spiritual people running after Jim Jones, and he got them people to drink that Kool-Aid, and I look at every documentary and I keep saying, how in the heck could these folks be fooled by this foolery of Jim Jones? I mean, he is faking his death that looks faker than anything, but people are believing it. And sometimes when the soul is searching for something to hold on to, it doesn't matter if it makes logical sense or not. This is supposed to provide me some solace, some calmness. This is supposed to help me in these situations, so I'm going to go for it. No. Look at what is really beneficial and helpful to you. Look at what is really being designed and put in place to help you. Not something that's going to hurt you more so than what you're hurting. You know, and loss is difficult. It's hard. I don't care how long the person has been gone. You know, 2024 makes 24 years of my father, you know, passing away. That does not get easy for me. There are certain times of the year where that really bothers me, and I have done a little work. I'm doing more work, but I haven't done everything that I need to do to process it, because I mean, it's been 24 years, but I can't tell you how many of those years I spent in denial, because I am currently moving through the stages of grief, but still far from acceptance, because I still struggle with some parts of it. And with that, you have to remember there's some things that we have to do on our own to help us get through these phases and these stages. So there's no point in going out here getting help if you aren't going to do the work. So you have to do that soul searching and search within to make sure if you're ready to start experiencing some good grief, if you're ready to start looking at some things in some good ways, because now I can look back on all the things that my dad taught me, some of the things that were funny that he did, some of the ways that, you know, he lived his life and did certain things, but there's so much good in him and so many people that knew him that I'm still hearing things about my dad as I see people. And so that's the good part about grieving him. Now I'm able to understand some of the stuff that had me confused back in my childhood and dealing with some of the childhood traumas that developed from that. And it gets a little easier. But to put a time frame on it, nobody should ever do that to you, but to begin to work through it, because it is a process. So this week, I want you guys to stay tuned, stay focused, stay with me as we go through the stages of grief and how to be able to find some good grief in it. And in the process of denying it, we'll talk a lot about the first two stages tomorrow more in depth, because we wanted to go through and give you the introduction and the thing. You guys know I try not to keep you too long, but we'll talk about the first two stages of grief tomorrow in a very, very different light, more so different than you've ever heard it before, but hopefully in a way that can help you begin to process where you are and how you can transition from one stage to the other as we start looking at the losses in a loving way. And that'll help us with the hardship of it. So you guys continue to have a great day. Thank you again for stopping by. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe, like, share, and comment. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.